Hello, welcome. It's Frances here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button and a bell below if you want to be notified as to when I upload more content, and that way you help support my channel. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of this land. So, death, the final frontier. One of two certainties of life. And no matter how rich, famous or not we are, we will all face it sooner or later. Hopefully later, not sooner. Death doesn't discriminate. We can attempt to bargain as much as we desire, but at the end, death always wins. It's inevitable. We all will die. Yet, it's only a transition of life that we are fermenting attempt to hold on to avail. Is this actually a throwback to our Christian roots in society? Which is ironic because Christianity is, or could be described as a death cult. Jesus died, a worshipped spirit, yet, and their souls will be saved in the afterlife. However, our Christian-based society is so afraid of death. It's interesting because Jesus was resurrected, reborn, reincarnated, but we can't say that. But still we ignore death. Even pagans within modern literature filled references with death as being a transition. And their gods and goddesses associated with death, or the dying, or that transitional process, psychopomps, into the underworld. We even have gods and goddesses ruling different realms, or collecting the souls of those who have fallen, or have lost their way, or depending on how they die, as to what realm they'll enter into. Yet we still fear death. Again, is it our society now? Because we distance ourselves from it. We lock up our aged elderly into homes or facilities that majority of us ignore. We don't see the death, the dying around us. We focus on youth and extendingly youth, prolonging youth, and then we alter our bodies, our appearances, so we don't need to think about aging. We even shame grey hair, wrinkles, saggy jowls, especially for women, and men as well are getting there as well, but mostly women. We tend to really suffer in these areas. But now I've been thinking about death. Usually thinking about death. But not in a morbid way. Yet we think, if someone thinks about death, they are morbid, and it's just like, no, it's just part of life. Part of the mysteries of birth, death, life, rebirth. Of the end, of the beginning. Because you can't have life without death. And you can't have birth without death. And when we look at a lot of the deities associated with death, there's always an aspect to them that has this creatrix, this creator aspect to them to bring through the life. So they're not really death gods and goddesses. They're more like clearing the way. Even, say, within the Hindu pantheon of Kamandra, who is sort of the aspect of Kali, sometimes the jury's out as to her connection with Kali, or she's on for her own self-contained aspect, but she's often depicted as the skeleton dancing on another skeleton, which is Shiva. But she's, again, there's a liberating aspect to her. Just interesting. And I wonder, especially in relation to modern interpretations of witchcraft, more operative witchcraft, where they have taken out or removed the religious, the belief, the more spiritual aspect, where the focus increasingly is on a practical, more physical aspect, even removing out the sensory aspect to it. But do they think about death? Or is it this avoidance that we see in our society in general? Have you thought about death? Have you thought about your own death? I find that quite interesting. But then I suppose I would, because I have studied as a death doula, death walker, end of life, transitional person sort of thing. Yeah, I've been always a bit fascinated, interested in how, as a race, we have seen death, different cultures, different eras, to where we are at the moment, where it's complete avoidance. Yet it's a natural part of life. Something to think about.